banknotes. The Royal Canadian Mint is responsible for coin. We also oversee monetary policy. We just increased the overnight bank rate to 1.75. So today we'll be talking specifically just about the banknotes and the new ones that are coming out. In terms of money itself, this is the December 2017 stats, $85 billion. We continue to see an increase of cash usage around 3 to 5% every year. So that hasn't changed. What we have seen the shift in terms is the actual type of payment. So we're seeing obviously more debit, more credit, and mobile payments taking that market share. But cash still continues to be a product in demand for payments. We've been around since 1935. We've had notes usually coming out every 7 to 10 years, but in the last, or about every 15 years, but in the last few years, we found that the technology has been catching up. And what I mean by that is inkjet printers, photocopiers, scanners. So a lot of central banks have had to change the way they issue money. And so we go every 7 to 10 years now. And the last $10 bill was released in 2013. And now we're 2018, and we're planning to release a new $10 bill. So just something to be aware in terms of business decisions going forward. Anybody know about legal tender here? Minister of Finance? Doesn't impact you directly, but it might be worth knowing. So the Minister of Finance in March has come out, and they've actually, in the budget, have said that legal tender is going to be looked at. And what they mean by that is they're looking at removing legal tender off the ones, the twos, the $25 bill, the $500 bill, and the $1,000 bill. So again, it doesn't impact you directly, but because you're a cash business, the idea is if the bill gets passed through later this year, those banknotes will lose legal tender status, which means they can't be used in a retail transaction. They're still worth the value. They're still, the $1,000 bill is still worth $1,000. We don't demonetize the banknote. But what will end up happening if the bill goes through is that cannot be used in a transaction. And typically what most people will have to do is send it to the bank, and the bank will then reimburse them for that. Okay, Frontier Series, what's in circulation today? We first came out with a $100 bill in 2011. The ones that impacted you the most, obviously, are the 20s in 2012 and the 5s and 10s in 2013. Polymer still represents the larger chunk of banknotes in circulation today, almost 90%. You can see the 20s are at 90%, the other ones are at the 5s at 83%, the 10s at 87%. So typically in Canada today, if you see a banknote, it will be polymer. We don't see a lot of paper, which obviously is important for you guys, because as you update and change your systems, you want to make sure that the majority of the notes out there obviously should be polymer. Otherwise, you have to look at bigger changes. So we don't want that to happen. So the polymer note is the one that we're out there using and the one that people are getting in circulation. Okay, so the reason I'm here. New $10 bill coming out. Has anybody heard of Viola Desmond? So Maria said Viola Davis. Her maiden name is Viola Davis, believe it or not. When she got married, it became Viola Desmond. Anybody know Rosa Parks? Yeah, so Viola Desmond is the Rosa Parks of Canada. Rosa Parks sat in a bus, White-Only area. She got kicked off and thrown in jail. Viola Desmond did the same thing in a theater out in Halifax area. The difference is Viola Desmond did it 9 years before Rosa Parks. So she did it long before Rosa Parks, but was never acknowledged, obviously. So this is one of the ways that we want to acknowledge somebody who's made a difference in Canada. She's a champion of social justice, defender of human rights, and it's something that most people in Canada don't know about, so it's important. We did a public consultation, which also, during the public consultation, we talked to a lot of the banknote equipment manufacturers, and I'll talk about that shortly. And basically, Canadians made the decision. They ranked up to the top 10, and then from the top 10, we had a special committee that decided on the top 5, and then the Minister of Finance made the final decision that Viola Desmond will be on the banknote. Let me show you a quick little video here.